People have been saying this IEM is the new meta of hi-fi audio. Well, we're gonna see about that. So Kiwi Ears is a brand that's been making a lot of waves in the in-ear monitor / wired earbuds industry. I recently reviewed an entry-level set by them called the Kiwi Ears Quartet, and I was quite surprised by the quality of the build and the quality of the sound. But now, they're back with a great addition to their lineup. Here we have the Kiwi Ears KE4. It's an IEM that's I'd personally consider a pretty high-end one. Well, I mean, I'd hope so, considering they're around $200. The consensus around this set, though, has been pretty glowing with rave reviews, claiming that the tuning on this is the new meta. So what does that mean exactly? Let's dive in. The packaging on these buds are rather simple, but still presented very nicely. A nice little carrying case that's small enough to tuck into any pocket for real. And of course you get the IEMs that feature a very smooth finish and a silverish type of color on the face. These feature 2 dynamic drivers and 2 balanced armatures, full range, and tweeters, and is considered a hybrid because of the addition of all those. The cable has a gunmetal appearance, and I think the quality is rather nice. I love that the face of the IEM is somewhat of a neutral color versus all the shiny, colorful, pops of purple and green we often tend to see these days. And the ear tips are firm, but not too firm, so they feel comfortable in the ear for long periods of time. But I'll walk you through what I think of the actual sound quality and tuning, which, spoiler alert, these are very pleasing to listen to. I heard no harshness along any of the frequency spectrum. These are resolving and sound very hi-fi. I wouldn't say that these are a bright IEM, but they handle the treble frequencies very well and have a warmer sound signature in my opinion. They're not super fun, as I prefer a little bit more clarity in my treble for that sheen, but even with that said, they are still very well translated. So I was kind of surprised that the Kiwi Ears KE4 it feels a little bit flat, and not flat in a bad way per se, but it feels a little bit kind of referencey. There's not a whole lot of exaggeration. A lot of people may view that as kind of boring. I don't necessarily view it that way because I still feel like it actually performs very well with what it does. There's never any like harshness or boominess. It processes the vocals and audio really nicely. The choice to kind of dial back the clarity, or not resolution, but the sheen at the top, it feels a little bit warmer, but at the same time at the bottom, you don't get like a thump, thump, thump. And I listen to a lot of hip hop, so I noticed it when I've compared it to different IEMs. But even with that said, there's no bass missing. Like I'm not yearning for any more bass when I listen to these. So you're probably wondering then, how can it be the meta? I mean, that sounds a little bit boring, doesn't it? Well, I think it kind of refers to the fact that it's tuned in a way that's very pleasing and attractive. And I think that's something that you can find in earbuds that are at much, much higher prices. But instead it's in an IEM that costs $200 this time. I think that reason alone is probably why people regard it so highly. Other than the fact that it sounds really nice, you can't really find another IEM that sounds just like it in its price point right now. So I think that that's something that people would strive for in an in-game IEM. It's just kind of being more accessible nowadays. And I love that because I don't want to spend no more than $200 anyways. But I bought much pricier, but yeah, anyways. And like I said, it doesn't have a whole lot of like extra clarity and shininess to it, but it still carries some detail. It doesn't sound muffly or anything like that. It really does handle those frequencies and reproduces them in a smooth way that's not harsh. Anyway, it just works. The tuning doesn't boost or cut super drastically in order to craft a sound that is tweaked or exaggerated for most people's preferences. But the bass reproduction isn't lacking, so overall, it just feels like a nice listen. Now, let's talk about this little DAC I got here, man. This is the Allegro Mini. This little DAC and adapter does an amazing job with conversion. When comparing it directly to something like the standard headphone jack on the M3 MacBook Pro, the difference in performance is night and day. I was kind of mind blown considering the MacBook Pro has a pretty good audio performance. I don't know if that's just through the speakers or what, but the headphone jack compared to this, I'm not using that no more. It packs a noticeable amount of power into a tiny body. So much so that honestly, I had a very mixed opinion about the Kiwi Ears KE4 until I used them with the Allegro Mini. It really does help unlock the true potential of a set. And that's not a knock against the IEMs, that's just a general rule of thumb. Bad converters equal not so good audio. I've never heard a bad impression of the M3 MacBook headphone DAC because overall the sound system on that laptop itself is rather impressive, especially for a laptop. But it's more so a testament to how great the Allegro Mini actually does. The bigger differences in quality I enjoyed was the extension of the lower sub frequencies. The KE4 has really reached down there when being played through the Mini, as opposed to the other day-to-day DACs. It also feels like the sound signal is widened by a significant amount. When I say that, I don't quite mean that it affected the sound stage by much, but it's more so the depth of of the sound quality. That's really what it feels like. The depth is deeper. The sounds are stretched out and there's more range in it. I feel like the dynamic range just improved. I think we were overdue for something like this, something kind of different in the IEM space, at least especially in this realm. It's close enough to a reference set of cans, but with that said, I don't think I would trust this to do any professional audio mixing due to how it handles the treble frequencies. It's definitely an enjoyable listen, and I think that it does that well. So I think that if you're looking for something new that doesn't break the bank or lean too far in either direction, this is a great set. It's one of those IEMs that if you buy it, I don't think you'll ever regret it. And it could be your daily set, but if you have some pretty nice IEMs already, I'm not sure if it's gonna be replacing them. Unless it's more than maybe 2 years old, because in that case, that's an ancient set, considering how fast this hobby moves. I mean, come on, man, the price to performance ratio has fluctuated so dramatically. $300 IEM back in the day, which is like 3 years ago, is getting squashed by $100 IEMs these days sometimes. So, hey, do with that knowledge what you will. But if you're looking for something fun and shiny, this might not be the one for you. But if you're into warm, classy, smooth, and gives you enough sheen to not want too much more, in my personal opinion, these are fire, especially in terms of the performance within the price point, because there aren't really any other options for similar tuning. If you're interested in the Kiwi Ear KE4s, I will have a link down in the description for purchase and researching purposes. If you like what you see, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because we will always have new reviews and products to show off in the coming videos. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.